It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. It's Feedback Friday. Yes, on a week of Feedback Friday, we're talking about Song of the South was the least controversial thing that happened here. I'm showing way too much cleavage for this video. Forgive me. My chair is broken, like real broken, like it broke a while back, but another part of it broke too. So I'm sitting like awkwardly forward. I apologize for that. A new one's coming. I broke down and spent $250 on a new chair in a week that I didn't monetize 2 videos, obviously because of the content of them. I'm not going to monetize someone else's pain. I know plenty of channels that do, but I do not feel right doing this. But let's do the help support this channel for and last week I lost income too, so this is gonna, because of the internet outage, this is gonna be a rough month for me, but sometimes you just have to do the right thing. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/Leanna K, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it, coffee.com/Leanna K. There's the bright spot of this week. One is this community, seeing the difference between how the comments were in the Ed Piskor video, where it was just us, compared to the comments where a bunch of people who don't normally watch my content invaded the comment section, really made me feel like I'm doing something right. I am gonna go over some of the bullshit. I don't know what to call it. What I found interesting is that the reasons people were justifying, we did nothing wrong with the Ed Piskor thing, was very similar to Poppy Had It Coming in Wednesday's video. And the fact that people actually wrote the words, "She brought this on herself," like, no one expects the Spanish Inquisition. No one, absolutely no one deserves what happened to Ed Piskor or what's happening to Poppy and Xena right now. Nobody deserves character assassination. And the thing is, it took less than a day for the woman Poppy accuses of sexually assaulting her by deception. It took no less than a day to tell a lie about me. She went on Twitter and called me a right-wing grifter. Right wing. I mean, first of all, I'm in Canada. Our most right-wing politician is kind of like, what's his name? Who's the guy? Manchin, Joe Manchin. That's about, I mean, we have some nuts with the convoy. I shouldn't call them nuts. I'm sorry, convoy supporters. See, there's my left-wingingness coming out. The idea that anyone, like, right-wing, that's what you brought. I was expecting something a little more plausible than right-wing grifter. I mean, it's funny because what we are in is a credibility fight right now. So I know that's a lie. No told. If she's lying about that, what else is she lying about? And when her supporters come here and say things like, this is just a cross-section, she brought this on herself, meaning Poppy. Yeah, the whole Kiwi Farms thing was too much, but, and then a justification of it, I had it worse. You don't compare traumas. You don't love someone one day and then the next day not is a completely false point when it comes to abusive relationships. Bullshit take. No, that is the whole, if someone is like, I love you one minute, they don't love you the next, that is That is emotional abuse. That is not how love works. Not bullshit take. Sorry. I hate the whole bad take thing because saying bad take does not make it so. The minute someone goes bullshit take or bad take, one, that's an authoritarian streak because, no individual sets reality. Two, if you think you're so right, prove your case. If you think you're so right, you should be able to explain why you're right and I'm wrong. Just going bad take just makes you look like an idiot. Good job throwing in your support with abusive people. I'm sure this won't have any blowback at all in the rapidly approaching future. That's a fucking threat. I don't care. But that is nice channel. It would be a shame if something happened to it. That's a threat. That's just a threat. The whole she did one thing I disagree with and therefore she's bad argument. You're going to have no friends if you go through life that way. Every person I really deeply care about is a big personality. They all do things I sometimes disagree with. I do things they sometimes disagree with. That's the thing. You have to give people enough flexibility to do things you don't agree with so that you can do things they don't agree with. That's being an adult. If you think someone's going, making a mistake, sure, tell them. But you're not a very good friend if you abandon someone at the first sign of trouble. And that, I think that if people had just stuck it out and been more people are allowed to make mistakes, Ed Piskor would still be around. I think it was the worst part of these things, having been through it, is the people they managed to peel off. And one commenter said, this Western society doesn't believe in redemption. If you do something people consider wrong, you're just an evil, problematic person forever. There needs to be accountability, yes, but at the same time, people need to be able to move forward and not be labeled an irredeemable monster forever. And the thing is, there is this group that's going after Poppy and Xena, definitely in the irredeemable monster forever, no redemption category. And I just reject that. I think that if you actually believe in justice, there are very few things, and this is a left-wing principle, that you try to rehabilitate even the worst criminals. You'll likely not succeed, but you have to at least try. And ironically, the whole thinking behind things like the Duluth model, which I have issues in the fact that it's gendered, it's attempting to rehabilitate people. And one of the issues with the Duluth model is this gendering of abuse and gendering of assaults. The fact that Ed Piskor was presumed to just be this evil Machiavellian guy who was preying on a younger woman when he was lonely during lockdown. And I just am so careful around younger people. My approach is very cautious, and I get that other people have different approaches, and that my approach is very selfish. Under the age of 28, I'm extremely careful because, an 18-year-old is legally an adult, but we know in terms of brain development, no, that person's brain is still forming. And that matters, which is why, if Noah had been 20, I would have had a very different perspective on it. She was 33. And so the idea that Poppy lured her to a hotel with a please, please, please don't leave me. I've been subjected to manipulation and guilt trips. In part, I mean, I got it on this damn channel. I mean, if the people who believe that what Poppy did in the documents that Melina published was abusive and manipulative, then their own behavior is abusive and manipulative because they are being coercive in their tactics towards me. So if they're right and Poppy is abusive, they are also abusive. And that's the problem. And they're going to hate that. But I mean, if going, please don't leave me, please don't leave me, please give it another chance, oh God, I can't live without you, is coercive, then nice channel, would be a shame if something happened to it, is more coercive. Like, this is an emotional response driven by a pack mentality, not a rational response driven by what I did, which is read it and go, read the 257 pages. Now, I happen to have no internet for 2 days, so I had some time on my hands, but I read it and I asked a bunch of people, what am I missing here? And people said nothing, but I wasn't convinced, and I read it again. And, you know, I'm an award-winning journalist and documentarian. That sounds so pretentious, but it's true. And I mean, the one of the things I won awards for was a documentary on hip hop music. Big right wing cause, right? Yeah. And I worked in youth programming. I've had a lot of experience looking through documentation like this and trying to figure out who's telling the truth and who's not. And it really comes down to, and for the record, I have warned Poppy about the hyperbole. There is, and I felt bad doing that because I remember, you know, I talked about being sexually assaulted at San Diego Comic-Con by a guy wearing a dealer badge. Who, oh God, he reeked of day old booze. But I wanted to burn the world. I was really angry. The part that seared into my brain is a security guard looked right at me, clearly saw it happen. They were just there to check badges. They did nothing. Being angry, wanting to lash out is what people who have been abused do. And one of the rape myths, one of the abuse myths that gets circulated is that any anger is proof of guilt. And that's just not true. I have never seen somebody who has been abused not eventually get angry like that. Some are quieter than others. Poppy has BPD. Again, Poppy has BPD. She can't help that. And demonizing the BPD behaviors is very ableist. It's real mental health stigma. And, you know, BPD is a real tough one. It is. And one thing I gave both Poppy and Xena credit for is they acknowledge that. And I do think there's a lot of self-blame on Poppy's part. You know, it's amazing because some of the things that Poppy has said to me and has said publicly look a lot of the things like Ed Piskor said, things like there's no hope, you know, suicide and suicidal ideation is about despair, not depression. It is a lot of times that is the one thing that they can control. It's not a question of most of the time truly wanting to die, because obviously, we're wired, our brains first and foremost are wired to keep us alive. So something has to go very, very wrong for that to be overcome by something else. But most of the time it is just make the pain stop, give me something I can't control. And I don't know how a human being continues to go after someone when they are going, ow, 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 ow. I'm glad I don't understand that. There is a training that takes place in these groups of, I've had it worse, you brought this on yourself. Well, yeah, maybe it was overreaction, but you're still bad. That kind of stuff. There's no empathy in those things. I mean, the things that I have seen Noah and Melina using to claim I'm right wing was actually things like, crediting Sargon of Akkad for apologizing to, what was her name? Lacey Green? Was that her name? I don't remember. He went after some woman and realized he was wrong. She's connected to Chris Ray Gun, I think. Oh God, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. But I said, good for him for apologizing. Good. Because I think it's too bad what happened with Sargon going down the UKIP rabbit hole, but that's neither here nor there. Obviously, my politics are very different than his. I went on his podcast stream. Sorry, it wasn't a podcast stream. Representing the other side. We had a discussion of things like feminism. Obviously, we disagree. And I think it's very, very important to see the humanity in people with which you disagree. See also Jordan Peterson. Me saying 12 rules for life is innocuous is not saying I agree with Jordan Peterson. I've done plenty of things here, but that's another thing that Noah and Melina have used to prove I'm right wing, because I will empathize with the other side. Milo Yiannopoulos, his goons tried to get me to kill myself. But when he talked about, I don't think he called it sexual abuse, but he, his first sexual experience was apparently a much older man when he was a teenager. That was pretty clear. He said that on a podcast when he was drunk, long before the conservative machine used it to take him down when, he was defending sex with minors. I don't defend that part of his opinion, but I do believe he was abused. I do. I still think he's an absolutely repellent person, but I believe him. And that kind of empathy helps you make better moral choices and better logical choices. I got Grogu in the background. All my old school Star Wars shit is like over there off camera, but I have always been a light side Jedi aficionado. I don't like dark side is cool right now. But I mean, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to the dark side. It's a Buddhist principle, but there is also any of the older religions use this idea, but let's break it down. Like, fear leads to anger. Okay, fear and anger are not inherently bad. Fear, okay. Anger, okay. Anger leads to hate. Hate is the danger zone. I remember when shit was really bad the first time around with Gamergate. I felt legitimate hatred for the people who went after me. I mean, when Zoe Quinn went to the police to report her ex, Aaron, for something that Milo had actually done to me on a stream, that I agreed to do it. And then, okay, Erin was a guest as well. But she took what happened to me and claimed to the police down in the US that it happened to her. And I could do nothing about it unless I was willing to drive to Boston. And I spent like 2 hours on the phone trying to tell my truth, say what happened, have that matter. Because it was really scary being on that stream and knowing that Milo was going ape shit, saying a whole bunch of things, demanding to be on the stream, just trying to start a fight, spewing all kinds of not true things. And there was nothing I could do. There was nothing I could do to make that stop because the host wasn't going, hey, cut it out. No, you're not coming on. You weren't invited. Fuck off. There was a ton of guilt by association. But then to take something that had happened to me and steal that. I, for about a week, just hated everyone involved with that. Every single person. And it's like, no, this is not healthy. This is going to make me do things that I will not feel good about later. This is making me, dark beast, not good beast. And we saw what happened to that in Marvel Comics. And that, because, that's the result of spending an entire year in really, really intense PTSD therapy. What the takeaway is basically control what you can control and don't focus on the things you can't control. And that was one major pillar because it's basically DBT, right? So mindfulness. There you go. Okay. Distress tolerance. Not only getting better at not being bad crazy when triggered, but also, gradually increasing. And keep in mind, I was doing this while I was being actively stalked. It was Stalker-chan that, I don't know why that's gone from Majima to Harley Quinn, but it's now Stalker-chan instead of Kiryu-chan, right? But I don't know. It morphed. I made it my own. But trying to get a hold of your trauma while still being actively stalked, still knowing that this person who I know is lying, the underlying thing of why this woman, Stalker-chan, who I will not name because if I ever name her, she accuses me of harassing her. But what she's doing is technically not legal, but in practice is, because it's not I can't sue her for defamation because it's not harming my reputation in a tangible way that I can prove yet. And I've basically been told that if she steps on my property, it's criminal. That's it. She's going to jail. But free speech, right? And you know what? That's right. I don't want oppressive laws on people who have legitimate beef, even if they're wrong. People should be able to speak. I truly believe that. I don't have to agree with Poppy's use. Well, it wasn't Poppy who originally used the word rape. Somebody else did. And I saw on Twitter or one of the comments this week, she says, I'm just not backing away from it. Like, let's just, okay. I don't agree with the use of that word. However, it doesn't matter. My issues are tactical, not moral. If she wants to call it that so that she can heal, okay. Because nobody's going to jail over this. We know it. We know the vast majority of abuse and sexual assault cases do not end in conviction. We know this. We know this. We know this. So this idea that, call the cops. No, we know. And I want our justice system to stay innocent until proven guilty. Like, please, that's very important to me. There are some things that we have to counterbalance because of that. That is a trade-off I'm willing to accept because I do believe in the left-wing principle that it's better to let 8 guilty people go free than to falsely imprison one. I believe that really strongly. As a science reporter, as a, I used to do video game reporting. I did music journalism. The ability to criticize public figures, the ability to have comment on art, even if it's controversial, even if people are offended by it, it's very important. I do believe that that's the way we get to better. But there's a difference between criticizing and bullying. There's a difference between criticizing and threatening. And, the woman stalking me, I saw her the day after she claimed to be attacked by some stranger. It was a comic book convention, and I was on my way down, and she called me. It's like, I'm going to be late. I was attacked. What? Oh my God. Like, you don't have to come in. No, I'll come in. No, you really don't. Please just stay. No, I'll come in. And she shows up, and she's showing the damn cut to everyone. And it's pin straight. It doesn't look anything like a defensive wound at all. It's straight. She drew like a smiley face on it and put it on Facebook. It was Facebook at the time. That was the cool social media. That's how far back this goes. And I saw that and went, quietly, that's not a defensive wound. That's a cutter mark. Oh boy. Subsequently, the story changed, claiming she then claimed he was her boyfriend at the time. They broke up. All of a sudden, he did it, not some random faceless attacker. She filed a police report to that. And apparently she made contradictory statements to the police, which is why she got arrested, because she showed up to testify willing to lie. And that's when they arrested her. After I found out that not only did she fake an attack, but she'd kicked his German Shepherd and threatened to kill the dog if he left her. And there was eventually a big intervention involving his family, got him out of there. She showed up drunk to an event. They were both volunteers for me. She showed up drunk to an event, stole his phone, broke into his house that he shared with his mother and sister, left the phone on his bed, and texted my co-organizer to tell us she did it. And she's accusing me of abuse, and she's currently posing as a trans woman to make me look bad. And Melina and No and all of their, all of the people who believe them are using stuff she's spreading about me against me. They are spreading lies. And again, I know these are lies. If you read the ridiculous Tumblr blogs she's putting up, her claim I abused a trans woman was I allegedly misgendered them and praised their masculinity back in 2012. Something like that. It was the Skype days, right? Didn't happen. Absolutely did not happen. Even back then, I did trans-friendly events. But even if I had, it was a decade ago. People learn, people change. But the assertion is also that other people told her to kill herself, but somehow that was my fault. She makes no connection in this document as to how I was involved in those comments. And there's a very credible theory that she sent those messages to herself when she was still telling the story as a cisgender woman, not a trans woman. She's not trans. And the fact that Melina didn't do basic due diligence in terms of checking out this story. Because the story is basically, oh, she's naming the real name of the real woman stalking me, but not disclosing her own identity. If that's true, she's throwing a third party in the line of fire of me, who she claims is super dangerous. That's just irresponsible. If you're going to name someone else, go on the record yourself. This is why I do everything over my real name. You can see my face. You know, you can do the whole micro expressions thing. You can do all that stuff. So that's the other thing, which is why I don't believe Melina, because they're spreading lies. And that matters. This is ultimately a credibility fight that we're in here. And so when people go, good job throwing in your support with abusive people. Well, defamation's abusive. Especially since if you look at me for 5 seconds, I talked to Sargon once. I said one nice thing about Jordan Peterson that makes me right wing. That's bullshit. Come on. That is abuse. That is abuse. So if I'm backing an abusive person because you believe, you know, the Poppy and Xena are terrible people, one, at very least, there was mutual abuse going on in that relationship. But also, Noah and Melina are character assassinating me. That's a form of abuse. So, accuser, you're throwing your support in with abusive people as well. Now, I do not believe that, again, what I saw in those logs that Melina published, I do not see any coercion. And this is what people don't seem to understand about my argument here. I am not going based on what I think happened. I am going based on what are Poppy's claims. Is there evidence? I'm not getting into a semantic argument about what to call it. If you even listen to the It's Not Therapy podcast, I don't call it rape. I don't think they even on the podcast did. I'm not sure. But it's like, it was about how certain mental illnesses complicate consent. But are the facts of what Poppy is claiming substantiated by Melina's document? Yes. Semantics aside, yes, they are. You know, similarly, is even the version of Ed Pisker's accuser relatively mild in the grand scheme of things and didn't deserve somebody to lose his life? Yes. And the woman who went public about what happened to him even said she didn't intend for this to happen. So everybody's a victim there because of the mob. Now, if you take Melina's document, is there proof of coercion there? No. Is there proof of gaslighting? If so, it went both ways. You know, no placated Poppy, that's gaslighting. That's lying. You know, you're accusing Poppy of gaslighting, but you're basically confessing that No was not telling her the truth. She was stringing her along. Oh, I didn't want her to feel temporarily bad, so she was telling her stuff that wasn't true as Poppy's investment in the relationship was escalating. That's a shitty thing to do. It's just a shitty thing to do. And arguing about what to call it is missing the fact that that is a shitty thing to do. And then, you know, narcissistic abuse, way too far, way too far. You slap mental health language on that when you're accusing someone else of using therapeutic knowledge against you. Well, that's another black mark against Melina's theory of the case. And that's the point. I don't go, what do I think happened? Because I am acutely aware I wasn't in the room. I wasn't in the room where it happened. I'm taking the evidence presented and I am seeing whether it actually backs the claims being made. And I do not believe that you can coerce a 33-year-old woman to meet you at the hotel without some sort of blackmail or financial jeopardy or threatening her family or something like that. Please, 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 please don't leave me isn't enough. I think back to when I was even, God, I've had people pulling that shit on me my entire life as a push-pull, as a codependency. And I had to say no to people at 16 when they were messing with my head that way. You're terrible until you threaten to leave. And then, no. I mean, most of my life, it's just fine, go. When I go, I've had enough, I'm out. But occasionally people are like, no, wait. I have to say no. I have to set a boundary. I have to put my foot down. And a 33-year-old it's reasonable to believe that they have the skills, they have the life experience to be able to recognize, yes, this hurts now, but the longer I wait, the more it's going to hurt, especially since there is a headmate who is a child involved. And she said she knew she was making it worse. Like that the people attacking me are not listening to my argument. They're strawmanning and misdirecting and actually using the terms, there is mountains of evidence. Like, don't quote Amber Heard in these situations. My God. And what it really does come down to is what my regular commenters were saying. It's a difference between believing in punishment and believing in redemption. And I do believe that if everybody cuts the crap now, there can be some redemption. There can be some healing. You know, I personally believe when I know someone, I make my support public. I keep my criticisms private. And, you know, Poppy was in the comments on Wednesday going, no, she has never said I did nothing wrong. And I do really think that if No was a man, this would be a very different discussion and Poppy would be believed. And that's a real problem. Because that's on the same continuum as the Ed Piskor tragedy, you know, because he was a man, he was treated differently than women on the internet who have been accused of the exact same thing and still have channels and their lives. Now, okay, it was suicide. We really do have to support men in crisis better. The tough love approach doesn't work. And I talk about that a lot. And thank you, the person who said K like okay, Fabe as in babe, K-Fabe. There we go. I know how to pronounce the wrestling term. But yeah, those of you who think you will get justice through retribution, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to the dark side. The dark side only destroys. It only ever destroys. Cthulhu will swallow your soul. Okay? One commenter said, as a general thing, men need to take a chance on saying ouch and reaching out for help. Then women need to get better at saying, hey, cut it out in the moment and taking our own chance that behaviors will actually improve. Will we face backlash, get called the dreaded B word, both privately and in public? Sure. But the only way a behavior gets normalized is from the bottom up. Absolutely. If you are against abuse, don't abuse. Don't spread lies about me. Don't threaten my channel. Or God knows what else that was. No's behavior after that video makes me believe she is more guilty. Melina's behavior after that video makes me believe she is vindictive. And their supporters are using the language of abuse. They are using the language of rape myth and bullying in their responses. Every word you say makes you look more guilty. It doesn't matter if you think you are right. You are displaying abusive behaviors. If you are telling the truth is your weapon and your shield. You don't have to spread lies about me. I've never understood why people do And, in the case of Poppy, oh, Poppy's bad, but the people who supporting her are also bad. I'm sorry, isn't your theory of the case that she's a master tactician that uses the fact that she's a therapist to manipulate and coerce people? A better lie would have been, oh no, that poor ginger lady, she's just deluded. Poppy just messed with her head the way she messed with No's head and the way she messed with all these other people's heads. You can't even keep your fucking story straight. Because you're so driven by anger, you're so driven by hate that you're going to the dark side. And I don't know why I'm giving people pointers to be more effective abusers, but you guys fucked up on this one. You unfortunately did exactly what the worst case scenario would indicate you would do. So I don't believe you, and I believe you less, and I do believe Poppy, and I do believe Xena, because Poppy and Xena allowed me to criticize them and challenge them publicly. And Noah and Melina's supporters and them did not. And that goes a long way to credibility. So threaten me all you want. Lie about me all you want. Every lie you tell, every threat you make makes you look more guilty. So I'll probably be on Poppy and Xena's stream at some point. I'm going to try to limit this because I can't afford to have non-demonetized videos much more. So help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. It's going to be a rough month. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who uses it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/LeannaK. Thanks for watching. And I didn't have it ready. Have a great weekend.